Hello, Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste, Arun.
Thank you for joining the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for finding me out and giving me this opportunity on your platform.
As we know that
Fine.
you wrote a book on
Uh,
yoginis and your entire practice is on
mhm.
based on yoginis. And can you introduce yourself and can you talk a bit about the books you wrote?
I'm from Kolkata. I'm Nilanjana Day. I'm from Kolkata, West Bengal. And I have spent more than 21 years in the corporate, in a business conglomerate as a graphic designer and a communication professional. And I had always this, inclination towards the spiritual studies. And I was basically curious and a seeker, you can say. And I'm an artist also, a tarot card reader, a tarot card reader and a graphic designer. And while doing tarot cards reading, I also involve numerology. So that's basically my background. So a lot of things together. So, and this is my first book. Since I was inclined towards the studies of the yoginis, and I was introduced to the concept by one of my esteemed teachers in the spiritual space into 2015. And later on, I was initiated into the studies in her own way. She did it when she was teaching all of us in her class. And from then, the research regarding the yoginis started, the studies which started. And, I started painting, the yoginis. And it so happened after the 5 expeditions to the Yogini Temple at Hirapur, I decided that, yes, and people were also saying that I could put everything together in form of a book. So the book has this particular book has the case study of the Hirapur temple, the Yogini temple of Hirapur. And along with that, there are other areas also which I've tried to cover in the book and associated them with the concept of Tantra, and also tried to, remove the misconception which people have about the concept of Tantra. So this is the effort which I've tried to do, put
Talk
in
about
through this book.
the tantric practices and especially in the yogini practices. Uh, I would love to know, or our audience would love to know, do you have uh, you been connected to any particular yoginis in this
Yes,
particular?
mainly Ma Chamunda, I would say Matungi. So more of Ma Chamunda because of the crone energy, and there is a very lot of contrast when you see the structure of the formation, the character, the formation of the. I will say the when you see the figurine of Ma Chamunda, she's a crone energy, the wise and the old, and and she looks so fierce, even though the face is broken, the structure, the figurines are all broken over there. But the one thing that is very contrasting, if you find, is like even though there's a fierce characteristic which is being portrayed over there, you see a masked deer on which she stands, and there is a lion on the lion hide which she's holding over her head. So there is a contrast. It talks about the ego which she tries to dethrone, as well as she's standing on a masked deer, which is her mount. So is like she's blessing the sufferers. She's blessing the people, or rather blessing the beings who are in need of it. And she supports the what do I say, that the meek and the people who are surrendering to her, or the beings who are surrendering to her. And yet she's overthrowing the ego, which is depicted by the animal which she's holding on the top of her head. So that is one. The other thing which I would like to show, which I have found, and when I was clicking the picture in one of my the fourth last expedition to the Yogini Temple. That is something very interesting. When our teacher, it was an excursion with our teacher in 2018 November. And while she was doing the invocation of the yoginis, we were Yogini Chamunda, we were also invoking her. And then what happens is that she offers flowers. As you see in this picture, she offers flowers. If you can see properly. And then the garland she also offers, and we chant. And then what happens that after, and then we just go out around the temple. We are taking a stroll. We are going through the Katyayani statues, the 9 Katyayanis, and we are going through the other part of the temple premises. And 45 minutes later, when we come back inside the temple, just to take a last look before we depart, what happened to me is that while the puja was going on, I had clicked a picture, and after 45 minutes, when I came back and I clicked a picture, I did not find anything unusual till I saw this particular image. I will just show it to you. And before that, let me tell you that there was no sunlight. But during that time, when I was taking the picture, there was no sunlight. It was cloudy sky, no sunlight, nothing. Neither my phone flash was active, because the phone flash would actually destroy that image. So what I did, I just took a normal picture. When I clicked the picture, what I found is this. This is a very strange thing, that's why I thought of using it in the book. You see a strange light. It seems like a sunlight falling on the garland. Can you see? But it is not the sunlight. It is not the flashlight. It was not there when I was clicking the picture. I don't know how it came. So that is the magic of the yoginis, and this is the kind of magic you get to see in the Yogini temple. When once you invoke, you never know when you witness such magical things. So that is one thing which I wanted to share with that regarding this particular image. And so that's why I'm Ma Chamunda. And even though we don't find Bagalamukhi in that temple, we do find Matangi, but we don't find Bagalamukhi as per the Chondidas, the Saraladas, narration, the names which we find for that. But still, Bagalamukhi Devi is a I can't say a person, is a yogini who inspires me a lot because whenever I find that is necessary, she seems to guide me. She seems to handhold, and whenever I'm in distress, I find more than Matangi, I find Chamunda and Bagalamukhi. They make me feel very secure. They make me feel very calm. So that is what. Then comes, I would say, Matangi. So mainly the 3 yoginis out of the 64 yoginis temple. And the other one of the Bhairavs is like Ajaykapada Bhairav. Because there is a story, there is a legend regarding Ajaykapada Bhairav that he was actually the cosmic pillar whom the other 2 deities of the 3 Murti appeared. So that is one figure, or rather the Bhairav figure, who intrigues me a lot.
Actually, it has been mentioned in this Mahavidya. She's the part of the Mahavidya, and if we look into these
Yeah, that's Mahavidya,
scriptures,
right?
we could see that
64 yogini names, but yeah,
the
she's one of the
Mahavidyas has
Mahavidyas.
been presented there, all
True.
the 10 of them.
And no, actually, I have not, because I told you I'm still a seeker, I'm still a learner. So there is so much to learn. I just started learning, I must say. That's what I feel. The more I try to read, the more I try to go deeper, I find that I know nothing. So there is so much to learn. So maybe you can, actually tell me why, the Bagalamukhi Devi is not in the list of 64 yoginis, and why she's there. Because there is a legend which we know that Sati, that's a legend, that when Sati was going to her father's house, Mahadev was actually, trying to stop her, and then she created the 10 Mahavidyas who had surrounded Mahadev. That is a legend. That's a Puranic legend. But if you are talking about the other aspect, I think you can say that. Could be. Could be because see, when Sarala Das was actually trying to match, give the names to the, the names to the 64 yoginis in Hirapur. So, or other people tried to link it. The Bagala name was not there. So it could be that it could be there, but since we try to relate it with the with that list, we say that she's not there, but maybe she's there. So that is a possibility. Who knows? So, see, as I was telling you that I was introduced to the studies, this particular, the Yogini studies by a esteemed teacher. So, and I had been writing, spiritual articles or something, and that was only for my viewing. That was always used to be there in the laptop or into the computer. I never used to publish it till a certain time. And then I started writing blogs, but I was not very confident enough to do it also. So I started putting down articles and various articles, spiritual articles or maybe philosophical articles, and started noting them down. And it so happened that I started writing blogs after I got introduced to the Yogini concept in 2017, after the formal, class. So then I decided that maybe I could gradually start writing blogs on each of the yoginis, or maybe the Yogini Temple of Hirapur, because that was the topic of studies for our teacher. So I started writing. And then gradually it so happened that I underwent past life regression. Earlier also I did, but in 2020, I underwent a formal past life regression therapy session with one of the pranic healers in Calcutta. So from there, I got to understand that the purpose of my life is related to painting, as well as the spiritual healing and the spiritual studies, and also to write a book which would be related to art and spirituality. Now, when I was being asked by the therapist that what is your mission, or maybe what is your life purpose? So then I told him that I see a grimoire, a red grimoire, on which I find art and spirituality. So I believe that maybe I'll have to write something, or maybe I have to do some articles, or article writing, or maybe book writing, which should be something related on this line, the art and spirituality. So, and then I started thinking that art and spirituality, and in what context, because I had been writing, by that time I had started writing about the Yogini cult and the blogs on a Speaking Tree platform as a seeker. So then I thought that maybe I could match both. And then yet I was skeptical. So entire 2021, even though I wrote a few things, my last visit to the Yogini Temple of Hirapur was mainly for the purpose of this book. I went and got pictures clicked and all that. That's everything which I did. I thought maybe I could use those images if I write the book at all, maybe, which I'll do after some time. So let me collect the pictures, which I did. Yet the skepticism remained, because there were a lot of challenges which I faced in my work front. And that was the main reason for those skepticism. So I was going back and forth. So then into 2022, mid 2022, I checked with one of the astrologers, rather two of the astrologers. One is my sister, one is a friend's mother. And then when I checked with them, they said that, why are you hesitating? Yes, you can actually do a lot of research work, and you can actually go ahead. Since I also believe in astrology firmly, I don't mind saying this, and I don't hesitate to say this also. So that was a turning point. And despite my inhibitions regarding the challenge, because of the challenges which I had faced earlier, so then I started putting in the rest of the material together, because already I had a lot of material with me from 2003. So I started including those material also. I added a lot of things, plus the blogs which I had, plus I started writing afresh. I used to go to, then I went to Archaeological Survey of India, Calcutta, just to understand that what are the things and how could I go about with it. ASI helped me with some of the names of the books. That is something ASI Calcutta helped me. Then from there, I went to Asiatic Society of Kolkata. Then I started doing research. And the research, it was like 2 months it took me to collect a lot of material regarding the yoginis and the other perspectives, the Western perspective, the Indian perspective, and the Buddhist Tantra. Not so much in, I've not mentioned much in this, because it is pertaining to the Hirapur Yogini Temple. So I started understanding more. The more I read, the more I understood, even though a little bit, but then I understood something. So then I started writing also, putting things together. And the more I started putting things together, then I realized that uh, what is that something? Like there are so many authors, so many stalwarts, they have treated the subject in various ways, right? So what new I could bring to the table? So that is something was actually bothering me. Again, I stopped briefly. Then I was writing the other parts. And then I thought that maybe sacred geometry I could bring in. That we know about the sacred geometry. I was going through with the Teja's book. I was going through Dr. Anamika Roy's book. I was going through other books. So it's like Suresh Balwant Rai and all that. So what I found that they were mainly focusing on the yantra. So sacred geometry in form of yantra. They were talking about the mandalas. They were talking about the documents or the maybe the paintings which they found at Rajasthan, which were found. So they were talking mostly of that and how the chakras and the yogini chakras and all that. So then I thought that what else is there which I can include? But then I thought that if it is art and spirituality, then I have to do something on the temple structure, which is linked with the tantric philosophy, as well as I could bring in sacred geometry. The sacred geometry, which we know is like it has various shapes, shapes and symbols, which are very symbolic and which guides people from various angles, like the squares or the hexagon or something or the other. So what I did is like I started I started drawing the temple layout from that perspective. So this is something which was completely new, and that is something which I decided to bring in. I found that nobody has done something like that. I checked the Google, nothing of that kind. It was all yantras and the mandalas. I said, what else which I could bring in? So I will show you the diagram which I did, then you will have a fair idea. Uh, One thing which I did is like I brought in the golden ratio concept regarding the temple. So this is the temple structure. So you can see this Chandi Mandap in the center, the Yogini Temple and the exit. And here is that, the platform, the raised platform, which is mainly for maybe people assembling or maybe to offer to the sun god or whatever. So this is the Hirapur temple thing. So I brought in the golden triangle and the golden ratio concept. Then also if I treat it like if you talk about the pyramid. So what is what are the spiritual aspects of a pyramid? So from that perspective also, that is a top view which I showed you. Then the vertical cross section, if you see of the temple, the vertical cross section which I brought in, and but I tried to analyze it from the angle that since the yoginis, it is said that the yoginis could fly, that they can fly when there is no one around. That's even though it is a myth, but there's a belief, right? So I tried to bring in this concept saying that if this is so, maybe there is some connection with the extraterrestrial world, or maybe if it is said that the yoginis fly, so maybe there is some connection. If it is with the extraterrestrial world, then how do they fly, and what is the link between that? And so brought in sacred geometry from that angle, as well as if you see, I'll show you another two diagrams also. See, if you see, this is the top view. You can see, this is the top view. This is the Chandi Mandap in the center. And this is the exit, the 64 niches, the 8 niches in the center. And then I started drawing the other sacred geometry diagrams. So this is something also, again, I started explaining the tree of life and all those aspects, right? So these are the things which I actually brought in the book from the sacred geometry. Then I spoke about the ley lines in this particular. Pardon? How did it happen? Now, see, there must be, I'll tell you something. I'll just give you an example from the book. I have, while talking about that, I have also brought in ley lines. This is also related to the sacred geometry thing. So the energy field and all that. So see, I'll just read out. We all know that sacred geometry is related to the, we say that it is the architecture of the universe. That's what the people, the wise ones, they have said. So, if I say, I'm just reading out, sacred geometry signifies the architecture of the universe, and it assigns symbols and esoteric spiritual connotations to numbers, geometric shapes, proportionate patterns, symbolizing the 5 elements of nature, the Panchabhuta. And the spiritual geometry is mirrored in diverse aspects of the cosmos and nature, as in the patterns of galaxies and constellations that we know, and also in the vegetation forms. So due to the interconnectedness with the microcosmic structures, that is the plants and the vegetation and the things all like that, and the macrocosm, which is the universe, the spiritual science actually considers this concept to be the geometry of consciousness. So obviously, since the Yogini Temple is actually related to this cosmic consciousness, and we tried to relate the 64 yoginis with the cosmos and the extraterrestrial also. So I thought that bringing in the sacred geometry aspects would be the right thing to do. And if I just give you one example, say if I talk about, wait. Yeah, a mandorla, or maybe which is an almond-shaped thing, form. It is the middle section of the vesica pieces. That's also a form that is also a part of sacred geometry, which looks like a vessel of a fish. And it is formed if we draw 2 imaginary circles. That since remember which we have learned during our childhood days, the Venn diagram in geometry. So it is the same concept, the 2 intersecting circle, and the intersection of the point of the intersection segment of the 2 intersecting circles. Actually, it looks like it is called the vesica pieces. So that is also the cosmic union, that denotes the cosmic union. That in the Western concept, if you see the Christianity, it denotes the birth of Christ. And if you talk about in the Eastern tradition, that is also related to the cosmic union of the Shiva and Shakti, or maybe Shiv Parvati. And if you plot the structures in such a way, you will find that their center points, they intersect at the Chandi Mandap, over the Chandi Mandap. And the almond is the first fruit tree in the Mediterranean region. That's how they have related in the West. And it is also associated with the new beginnings. So new beginnings, they associated in this way and also the cosmic union, as well as it is the source of new energy, the new life. That's how it is. And it also looks like a yoni. So that is a pathway to the womb. So I will show you the diagram as well, then it becomes clear also. Wait a minute. Can you see the center part? See this shape. Across the Chandi Mandap, I've done this. 2 intersecting circles. And if I actually plot a circle like this, or another circle like this, it falls in the center. So it actually forms, it shows the union. And if you take this particular center part, it also looks like a Shivalingam from the top. From the aerial from the aerial view, if you see, then it looks like a Shivalingam because of this particular thing. It looks like a pinak. So the entire thing looks like a Shivlingam from the top. So if you take the Chandi Mandap in the center, and you plot the diagram in such a way that this also acts like the yoni, or maybe the kefi to the womb. So that is one thing which I actually tried to bring in. And the hexagon, they have their own symbolism. And or rather, if I give you the another thing which I can talk about is like, like for example, the triangle of the hexagram, the triangle which we see forming when we draw a hexagram or a yantra or something. That also is related to wisdom, intellect, and spirituality, right? So you can do the same thing when we are taking this particular, the architecture of the temple into consideration. So that's how it is. And when we are connecting the 64 yoginis vertically on the top somewhere at the apex portion, so all the energies are forming, it's a conglomerate of things. And, it could be something like, I visualize it like that if they have any connection with the extraterrestrial being, as we read in the various the poetries or the ancient poetries, the Raj Tarangini and all that, as they have referred to. So you will find, but I feel that maybe if we could plot, and if you see the circular structure of the temple, maybe, and if you see the structure of an UFO, if it comes down somewhere, I mean, it could be like they could actually connect with the UFO directly. I mean, it's more like the top of the apex of the pyramid. The pyramid of Giza and something, I mean, the pyramids of Egypt, they have the same spiritual connotation, even though they actually they house the dead bodies. But the actual spiritual connotation is a totally different thing. And if we see this spiritual aspect of the pyramids, we also have this pyramid-like thing on the tables or tabletops, or maybe on at our houses, which is suitable for the vastu. So it is also that that has got some electromagnetic field. So there's a connection there also. So I was seeing things from that angle, and I was bringing in sacred geometry into the picture. Even though there is no such treatment in any of the books, I was trying that maybe I could find any reference. No. So I tried to deal with the thing, and I was trying to prove it through the entire writing. Also, I brought in the Fibonacci series, which I've already talked about, the golden ratio. And I have also talked about the 369 concept of Tesla. 369 nowadays, people talk about the manifestation theory. So 369, that concept I had actually brought in. So one has to read. I will not divulge unless until somebody reads it. They will not actually, if I say it online, so that will be too long a thing for your report. So that's what I'm saying, that I've dealt with the Tesla concept also, and Tesla's 369 concept, and also which is related to the law of attraction. Also, there is like the pentagon, the other aspects of the sacred geometry. I've brought in the tree of life. So those things I've actually brought in. The other aspect is like the ley lines. I've spoken about the ley lines also. See, ley lines, that I have dealt with it in a different way. But yes, the ley lines, that is another diagram which I need to show you. Yeah, already there is a, see, can you see it properly? Is it visible? See, there is it is visible, right? So there is already a existence of the golden triangle in Orissa. There is a existence, the Bhubaneswar, the Konark, and the Puri, Jagannath. So there's a golden triangle and why it is a golden triangle is like this particular places are passports. They're very potent because of the later. Yeah. So where were we? You're talking about the ley lines. The ley lines, they are, yeah. So ley lines, they are the energy lines. There's an imaginary lines which is running across the globe, connecting powerful places, I mean, spiritually powerful places like the pyramids, the Stonehenge, and the Machu Picchu, and obviously the 12 Jyotirlings. So probably it's like, it is, if you go through, if you go and search on Google, you will find that it is in Orissa, a golden triangle is formed with the three places like Bhubaneswar, Puri, and Konark, right? All are spiritually potent places. But, and when when you find that a golden triangle is formed, it is never, when the triangle that is formed is, it is not an equilateral triangle. It is not a scalene triangle also. It has to be an equilateral, it has to be an isosceles triangle. So a golden triangle is formed when it is an isosceles triangle. So the two arms are similar and one arm is dissimilar. That's how a golden triangle is formed. You cannot form a golden triangle with a scale when it is a scalene triangle or it is an equilateral triangle. It doesn't work that way. Similarly, that's why I've written in the book that probably, I'm not very sure unless until I take the measurements. So that's why I said probability of another golden triangle in Orissa, because we are not aware of the length of the distance between the Puri and Bhubaneswar and the Konark. If we find the Puri, Bhubaneswar, I would say the Hirapur, Puri and Konark, if we see that, then we will be able to say whether it is a scaling triangle or an isosceles triangle. So if Hirapur comes under that area, like if Hirapur, Puri, and Konark, they are forming a triangle. But if it is a scaling triangle, then it is not a golden triangle. But if it is forming an isosceles triangle, then it could be, it is possible that it is forming another golden triangle in Orissa. This is the second diagram. You know, this one. This one. So the this is the Bhubaneswar. So this is Bhubaneswar. I'm talking about this is Hirapur temple, and then Konark and Puri. So that is one. And usually it is Bhubaneswar, Puri, and Konark. And if we bring in the Hirapur temple, which is slightly away from Bhubaneswar, it is in the village. So then it could be that it is forming a golden triangle, and which is why the place is also the entire potency of the that zone, that region, it increases. And the ley lines are actually running across. And wherever you find the ley lines running across the map of the geographies, it is a chance that you attract the extraterrestrial energies very strongly, or maybe the cosmic energies very strongly. Even though, and this is what the various researchers have explained, that the Yogini temples are in desolate locations. And that could be because of the spiritual practices or the esoteric practices which the various cults they have gone and performed, or maybe the patrons of this art, of these architectures, they wanted to maintain a secrecy from the society, and they never wanted people to know that they they go to the this kind of places, the yogini sites, and they seek the blessings of the yoginis for maintaining their military prowess, and to gain victory over the other lands and all that. Those are the things which you find in the other temples also, other yogini temples also. Like if you see Khajuraho and all that, the rulers, they never talk about the Khajuraho Yogini temple. They have spoken about, or rather we know in history that we are familiar with the Khajuraho other temples which are there in our history books, but we hardly read about the Yogini sites. So maybe there are two, I find there are two reasons. One is that they wanted to keep it a secret because they used to go to these sacred and secret sites, plus of the practices that went on at this the tantric practices which were performed by the various cults. The other one would be in the desolate location away from the crowd, or maybe in a vast expanse of land and all that. Could be the direct connection with the cosmos, or maybe the extraterrestrial energy, which nobody is a witness to, but it is an assumption based on the ley lines and the potency of the place. So this is something which I could talk about. See, I would say that, yeah, the sacred geometry, it also is a major reason for connecting the temple art and architecture of the Yogini cult with the spirituality, the cosmos, the cosmic energy. So, and that's what I've tried to bring out through my case study on the Hirapur temple, the sacred geometry, and plus obviously the various other aspects of the Yogini cult, and the Tantra history and the society, and the significance of the number 64, how it is related to the kalas, and the other aspect which I brought out in the book, the dark side of Tantra. People misunderstand Tantra a lot. They understand that there is some positive side to it. They always link it with the negative side of the Tantra, which is actually a lot of, I would say that not people who are into the dark side of Tantra, they are not evolved, because Tantra can be utilized for the betterment of mankind, for the humanity. And we do a lot of things in our day-to-day lives which are related to Tantra, but we are not aware of it. The yoga. the pranayams, the meditation. These are all the part of tantra. But most of the people, because of the lack of knowledge, because of the lack of awareness, people have always linked it with the dark side of the Vamachara tradition. People don't understand the Samachara tradition, the beauty of the Samachara tradition, which is obviously there in down south, in the southern part of Bharat, mainly in Kerala, which I have heard. So that is a beautiful thing which people, they don't understand. And then the mixture of both, which is I mean, to some extent, maybe some aspects of Vamachara and some aspects of Samachara, that is a mixed thing. People are aware of that, but they don't understand the beauty of Tantra, which people need to actually get into, explore. This book is mainly for the common masses, because I have, when I was working in a corporate, people used to come to me for tarot session and all that. Mainly, a lot of people, they used to consult me, but there used to be a segment of people who were either they were trying to blacken the entire concept because they were unaware, or maybe out of fear, and they used to do kind of a smear campaign also. So and they pulled me into it. So that is also another aspect, that it always used to tell me, deep inside it to tell me that I must break this misconception. They have a strong, different kind of an opinion, very strong, wrong opinion, I should say. So in this book, when I was talking about when I was writing about the dark side of Tantra, the misuse of Tantra, and the blessings and the curse of the yoginis. So I tried to bring those aspects and what is to be done. And, the blessings of the curse of the yoginis, that how you should not, malign a practitioner of the Kala tradition, or maybe a follower of the Yogini cult, and how the tradition should not go to people who have selfish interests, because it could be misused, as we get to read about it in the Kala Gyana Nirnaya, when the Bhairav is actually narrating the various aspects of the Yogini tradition, the Kala tradition, to Veer Chamunda, or the Devi. So that is something that was brought in from time to time. I've actually tried to use those reference points also. Also, I have spoken about the dark magic, which people try to do on one another baselessly, like maniacs. I would say maniacs, because if you cannot compete with someone in some way, try to improve yourself, your qualities, but don't try to harm anyone just because of your own limitations or jealousy. And those kind of things, and how they do it just to fulfill their vested interests, how they use dark magic. And at times they bring in the yoginis also. I have seen myself. At times they take help of the yoginis also. They actually misuse the tradition, which should not be the case. So that is something which is not appreciable. And also the various aspects of the dark magic. So there are various categories of dark magic and how they do it, and how people should be aware not to step into those areas, and how it will affect human lives. And not only they will affect the victims, but in the long run, they affect themselves also. That is something which I've brought out. Plus, I've tried to warn people through this particular chapter that how one should be careful regarding the contagious magic. The magic could be done from a distance using photographs, or maybe some the voodoo magic. The current, not the actual voodoo that the voodoo religion know, but the kind of the dolls and all that. Those typical dark magic things. How one should be careful about it, and how one should avoid certain things. How one should take protection. So those are the things which I've brought in, and how. Other aspects, I've just tried to make people aware of it. This is something which I have done, given in this. इसके साथ I have given the namavalis, the Chausath Yogini Namavali, and I have mentioned that there are other mantras and the Yogini names also, which courtesy with the Daheja, the Yogini names, because she had done a lot of research on that. So I've shared that because a lot of people they do not have the access to the Vidya Daheja book, which she had written long ago. It's a famous book. So I've tried to mention that. And I've also mentioned that whenever somebody tries to chant these mantras, one should get initiated into the tradition, otherwise it might backfire. That is one thing. And also mediumistic painting, that the mediumistic painting is another aspect which I've brought into the art aspect, that how mediumistic painting is actually related to parapsychology and also the communication. So it is a transpersonal communication, but transpersonal communication, that is something I've brought in. So that is an aspect, that how you can actually connect with the spirit, or maybe any other higher realm beings, and you can actually paint pictures, and you can give life to that painting. So those are the things which I've brought into the mediumistic painting, because I do it myself, and it has worked well, because there are a lot of aspects when you get to know through the mediumistic painting. They keep on giving you messages through either through spirits, or maybe through other entities, or it could be a divine form, it could be some spirit, ancestor spirit, or maybe some other entities that you don't know. So that is something which I've brought in. And wait, I'll just share something. Wait. And then I've spoken about the mirror neurons, how the scholars, they have actually, tried to establish the fact that mediumistic painting, it actually is a reality. It is not a fake thing, or which, many artists in our country, they'll not be comfortable enough to talk about the mediumistic painting. They will say, you're doing it out of your imagination. I've also experienced all that. So people have tried to snub me by saying that, this is your imagination that is actually working. No, it is not your imagination always. You get to actually connect with when you can do it through meditation, or you can straight away get to that mode, and you can actually be open. You can be in the meditative form. You can be open to the divine entities in your own way, through your practice, spiritual practices, and then you just let yourself be when it comes to the canvas, and you see what forms, and then actually you will get to see a totally different thing, and you will receive messages. That is one thing. Plus, I have also spoken about my paintings, which are actually power objects, which I try to convert them into power objects, and for the betterment of my clients and the customers who buy those paintings. And it actually helps in healing. I have one of the ladies, I'll just show you the painting. She had bought this painting, and she had given a positive feedback also in the book, because it has actually helped her with the anger issues to bring in control. This is a yantra, the Bagalamukhi yantra, which I had done. Can you see? The Bagalamukhi yantra. So I had given it to her. This is a Saraswati yantra, which I've given, and this is a Saraswati and Matangi. The energy is here. So these are the two paintings which have already gone to different clients, and they have got benefited. And along with this, I have told them to sit there, meditate on it, and speak to the goddess, and you see what it says. And they have actually seen positive responses. Whatever issue they had, they have control that. So that is one thing which has happened. So, and the other one is like, there's another mandala. This is also sacred geometry, obviously, but this is something different. This is Jagannath. This is Shakti. This is Bhairav, Subhadra, and Balaram. So, this is a mandala which I've created, which is very unusual. That is my own imagination. And I have sold it to a client who keeps it facing the main door of the house. So, it is just to cut away the negative energy that enters the house. So it has all the kinds of the energy which could be actually combating the negative forces. So those are the things which I've done. And also one thing which I would like to show is that the Dakini Sendoma. This is something I've given it to a tantric, the Vajrayana Buddhist monk, Khandroma. So she had taken it, she had asked for it, and I had given it to her. So this is with her now, probably in one of the monasteries she resides, and it is with her. She's Dakini Sendoma. So this painting is also there, and it is a very powerful painting. So, you cannot keep Dakini Sendoma at home. It's very difficult to keep her picture at home. So it should be at the monastery. So I was lucky enough that I was blessed enough that she had given me this. And the other thing, none of us have actually seen the original form of Mahamaya in the Hirapur temple. But Vidya Daheja, in her book, she was lucky enough, since she went in the early 80s or late 70s, she was lucky enough to find this statue, which I have actually tried to draw. She had clicked the picture. I have tried to do a copy drawing, which I'll show. And it's not the same Mahamaya which we see facade, because probably of various reasons, maybe it can actually incite anger or so, or maybe the statue is no longer there in the Hirapur temple. So this is what I have done. No, this is the actual Mahamaya statue. If you see the Vidadahecha book, this is how she looks like, the Mahamaya statue from the Hirapur temple. And if you see the structure, you will know that it doesn't resemble any of the Yogini, figurines from the other temples of Central India or maybe South India or North India. So it is very much a Hirapur structure, and probably she did not mention it over there. Probably she avoided controversy or something. But this is actually inspired by the picture which she had actually presented in her book. And it is actually the Mahamaya which we don't get to see today. So that is it. And this is a normal which I try to bring in the dark goddess energy I was trying to bring out. So I've used a lot of paintings. The paintings which is still there with me in my home art studio, and the paintings which I've done. This is a Bagalamukhi energy. And this is a mother maiden crone, which is it is in someone private collection, which is being sold. So the maiden mother crone, the lunar cycles. So I've brought in the concept over here. So these are the paintings which I've actually used in the book, and I've tried to depict this. This is the same painting which you see in the backdrop. So this is Avalokiteshvara, it's a Bodhisattva Padmapani, so from the Ajanta temple. And this painting is also there in Toronto. Sorry, this one is with one other client, but another two paintings are in Toronto. This one is in Toronto. This one resides in my home, and it is also a very powerful power object. It doesn't allow any negative energy to come inside my home. It is there facing the door, the main door of the house. So it acts like a power object. And this particular painting of Vishnu, this was a commissioned work, and the Shiva, these two are there in Toronto. These are like, again, I have tried to bring in the yantra, the sacred geometry while doing the painting. And I have, each of the paintings I have chanted upon, and so that the purchaser is also not affected. And this is also the Lakshmi, the Vishnu yantra, which I've given. These are the real stuffs. This is the real stuff which I've used. So those are the things which I've used in the painting. This is also a Vishnu chakra, which I've used. So Gomti chakra. So these are things which I've done, and this is how the book is like. But one more interesting thing which I must tell you is like, this is how the mediumistic painting works. See, I was not even aware. I was just started. Can you see it properly? Is it clear? So see, I don't. Yeah. So it is slightly hazy. I'm sorry. See, this particular thing, when I started, it was like I did not know what was coming out. I just started with my brush. So mediumistic, that's why I brought in the art and spirituality. So it is also spirituality. Why? Because obviously I told you it is transpersonal and communication with the other dimension. So I started with the brush. I was just loitering around, and suddenly this thing came. Then this, and finally this. So this is how it happened. This is an abstract painting. And this particular thing, it has a story, which I will, actually, this is also one of the events. I will just come to that part because it is a very interesting thing which I need to share before you go to the next part. So this is also a yogini. This is also the Panchabhuta. I have actually connected the entire emotions of my journey with the corporate with Panchabhuta, and I've brought out this. This is somebody's personal connection. So that is there. This is a consolidated form, and which I've actually used in the book, on the book cover. So this is actually, I tried to bring in the consolidated energy of the 64 yoginis. And this is, in my way, I have tried to do Lalita Tripura Sundari. This one. And this is, though I've already shown you. This one I've already shown. This one, the other paintings I have already shown to you. Regarding I will come to that part once again, because that is an interesting thing which I have to share with you. This is the Kundalini awakening thing journey which I was undergoing, which I've mentioned in the book at the end of the book. So I tried to depict it in form of a painting. So this is what it is, the Kundalini journey, the Kundalini awakening journey which I was undergoing. I tried to depict in form of a painting. So this was the last painting, and this was the Yogini calendars, and which I actually, the pages which I had done. So using all of these pictures. Now coming to this part, now you were asking about the book. So what I would say, one thing which I would like to share, it's a very interesting thing. See, the past life thing, the transmigration of soul and all that, which I have actually used, written about. Why I had to write? Because when I was going to, writing the other parts of the book, then there was something which was missing, was that the starting of the book, that how would I start the book? I did not know how to start the book because it's a very extensive research thing, and starting the book was actually difficult, that how to start the book. So it so happened that one day, one of the, a neighbor in the building, he came for dinner. The guy is a Marwari guy, and he came for dinner, and he was supposed to come with his business partner. So that night, that evening, I was not very well. I was not feeling very well, and I could not go to the Asiatic Society for my research, thing, because it was raining heavily, it was drizzling, and the entire Kolkata was like chock-a-blocked with it was in a very bad shape. So the vehicles were also creating a lot of, commuting was a difficult thing for all of us. So I did not go. So it so happened when he came and sat in front of me, when we were having dinner, I suddenly found that I'll show the picture. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you to understand. I suddenly found that this particular face, can you see this particular face? This guy, this particular face got superimposed on his face. This guy was eating. And a face from the past, a face from 13th century, Churu, Rajasthan. That time I did not know the word Churu. So a face got superimposed on his face. So, and I thought I was hallucinating because I was not well, I was hallucinating. So then I had my doubts. So, and I was feeling uncomfortable. The next thing which I see is that he's standing on a steed, and a dark brown steed. He's sitting on a steed, not standing. The horse was standing, and he was sitting on the steed, and with a sword, a huge sword in his hand, and the blade, the steel blade, was shining in the sunlight. The next thing I find that he was, these things were just images were just coming to my mind when I was sitting in front of him. We were having dinner. The next thing, that was images were downpouring. So it was like the next thing which I find that he cuts off the throat of someone. So that gave me a panic attack. While eating, if you find that somebody is sitting in front of you and the images are getting superimposed of a person from the past, and he's killing someone, then naturally you feel very agitated. So my restlessness increased, and I could not sit through. So I could not finish my dinner properly. Somehow I ate and I got up. So this guy understood something was wrong. He said, Didi, you are studying my nose and you're studying my eyes. And he was getting uncomfortable because I'm sitting there and I was looking at him like this, eating and looking like this, staring at him. So, so he was getting scared also. He was getting, anybody would get scared. Somebody, the hostess is just sitting and staring, eating and staring. So he was also getting, getting unnerved. So he also got up fast. He ate his food. I said, I'm going. By 9 o'clock, he ran. So, and I was actually restlessly walking up and down in the, in my dining area. So it so happened that I was feeling uncomfortable because what did I see? What did I see? Is it my hallucination or what is it? Then I called up a friend. So with her, I used to discuss a lot of things regarding the book. I've mentioned her also in the book here. And she said, do one thing, you just go to your meditative levels, go to your levels, and you see what is it. It is, you need to just, see it rationally, whether it is a hallucination or whether it is something, really something from the past that you're seeing. I said, okay, fine. So since I'm a silver mind control, method I've learned, that's a dynamic meditation, which I've learned long ago. So I applied that technique. So there is something called a dream control technique. So what I did is that before going off to sleep, that I was so restless that I could not sit down for a meditation. I knew that nothing will happen. So it's better that I go off to sleep. I leave the thing there and let me see if something comes up in the dream. So that was my thought. So I use the dream control technique. It's like I program my brain in such a way that, okay, whatever the answer which I'm seeking, I'll see through my dream. So there's a technique which we learned during the when we were undergoing the course. So I applied that and I went off to sleep the whole night. The whole night till morning when I got up, it's like I was seeing all gibberish. It was like, I see a word called churu. Till then, I did not know what churu is all about. I saw a word called manju in the dream itself. And, I get to see these words when I go to undergo the past life regression therapy also. The years, the numbers, and some locations, some flashes from the past, some figures, some faces. So all these were coming like a gibberish thing. back and forth, back and forth. And then when I got up, I started noting them, all of them, because I knew that now I have to go ahead with the images, the words and imageries which came to my mind, and then I'll have to explore them. So then I sat down for a dynamic meditation. I started going back into the past. Past means actually the past lifetime. Since we are aware of dynamic meditation and we had actually done past life regression therapy earlier. So, what happens is the pituitary gland gets activated and you can get to see a lot of images. They actually start downpouring. So certain things were coming into the picture, and I understood that the guy whom I was having dinner with at my residence yesterday was actually that guy, who the turban guy, who had actually killed that fellow. And why? Because in that lifetime, I was a Banjara woman, and this guy used to come to me, and his name was Mangal, because I saw that word Mangal, and so who is this Mangal? So then I realized that his name was Mangal, and later on, this guy found out. He went, backtraced to his, people in Rajasthan, a remote village, and they got to know that from the localists, there was a guy called Mangal Singh. Actually, there was a guy called Mangal Singh, and he was a ruthless guy, and he used to kill people and all that. And there was a tribal leader. And then I realized that when we got to understand, we collated the facts and the information which we gathered and the things which I saw, put things together, we understood that Mangal Singh was this guy who I'm talking about, the Manish in this current lifetime, my neighbor. And he used to come to me during that lifetime, to the Banjaran woman, to get his future read, because he was a very rough-in kind of a tribal leader, and they were like the Rajput clans and all that. So he used to go then, and anybody who tried to go other than him, he used to be ruthless, or maybe he used to, push them away. So one of them actually came and he slit his throat. He actually slit his throat in front of me. That was the image which was coming. And he used to ride a dark brown horse in that lifetime. You won't believe it. In this lifetime, when I told him about this incident, he said, Didi, I still love, dark brown horses. I have this liking. So that was the beginning of the book. That's how I started. And then in that particular thing, when I started studying the gypsy woman, I found that in her den, I would say, because she used to stay in that Rajasthan area. So in that lifetime, so she had a yantra-like structure, which had 64 semi-precious stones studded on it. And I have seen her, raising power, creating ley lines, raising power, because that's an arid land. She was trying to bring in rain, and she was trying to send out the things to the, space. And she was trying to deactivate and activate the yantra with some Egyptian, there are some Egyptian weapons, or maybe a wand, which is called epsilon, the kopesh, and all that. And there are very ancient things. So I found those kind of things over there, and she was using them. So that actually intrigued me. And then I thought, this could be the gateway to the book. And what is the link between the, the things which I saw then, and what is the link between the research which I'm doing? So then I realized that I was missing out one thing. I was thinking about the North. I was thinking in terms of the tantric, influences. I was in the society. I was thinking about the North. I was thinking about Kashmir. I was thinking about South, Lalita Tripura Sundari, and that area, the region, the southern region. I was thinking about the East, the Kamakha, the Yogini Temple in Hirapur. The Central is also there. The West Bengal, it is there, the Kali and the Durga. What I was missing out, the Tantra, the influence of Tantra in Rajasthan, which was a very strong influence. And, the practice was very much associated with the Banjaras. In movies, we have also seen that people in ancient times, people used to go to the Banjara women to get their consultation done. Whether the Rajputs or maybe the kings and the queens and the princesses, they used to go to the Banjara women for a consultation, for any kind of protection against the evil. So I was missing out on all those parts. And then I realized that this was an reminder that I should look into that side also, the Rajasthani aspect. So then the journey started and it continued. And finally, I ended the book with a lot of advices for people who are seekers and who are new to the spiritual practice and all that, who want to do certain practice at their homes instead of going to purohits, or maybe when they want to do some rituals like the moon rituals, or the new age things which people like to do in their cauldrons, or maybe they want to do something those kind of things which I've given some tips also. So that's how the entire book goes about.